Welcome back and thank you for joining us. Now, the Democrats are back in the driving seat in the United States. This after media houses announced last night that Joe Biden has officially become President-elect of the United States of America. He and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris are expected to take office on the 20th of January 2021. That's when they're expected to be inaugurated. We'll be joined now in a few minutes by supporters of the two opposing sides. Elizabeth, or rather she said that I must call her Liz O'Leary for Democrats abroad South Africa, as well as Carolyn Petit. She's for Live Long Republicans in South Africa. As you heard earlier from the couple that we're visiting today in Emerentia, a restaurant called Sweet Tea and Chickadee. They're saying that, you know, a lot of Americans are nervous about these elections. Not everybody is exactly excited because of the past 4 years under the leadership of former President Donald Trump, who is in fact also, who has actually said that he wants to appeal the results. He wants to take them to the Supreme Court of Appeal. But of course, there is also the state officials, each state in the states in the United States, saying that there is no evidence of any fraud in that front. But of course, that couple also saying that it's not a very easy way to agree on whether or not you're happy or you're not. A lot of people are more nervous about these results. But our guests are ready. They're here with us. Thank you very much for coming out to be with us here at the restaurant, Caroline and Liz. Well, Carolyn, the first question goes to you. President-elect Joe Biden, a Democrat, you're a Republican. How are you feeling? Disappointed?
As a lifelong Republican, I have to say that in the last 12 elections I've been entitled to vote. This is the first time I'm okay with the Democrat.
Can you explain why?
The election. Why? Intrinsically, I am Republican, but unfortunately, I just don't think Donald Trump is the right thing for the United States right now. We need someone that can bridge this massive divide that has emerged, and Joe Biden, I actually think, has the ability to do that. Where I think Donald Trump, unfortunately, is going to just force it further and further apart. Disappointing for me, you know, as a Republican to have to cede to the Democrats, but at the end of the day, it's the best thing for the states right now.
But I mean, Liz, you'd agree with me that the President-elect Joe Biden, it's not the first time that he's having a chance to sort of run the country. He was vice president during Barack Obama's term, and that term also wasn't really, we can't really say that it didn't have its own ups and downs. You know, wouldn't you say that even with this win, there is still something that Joe Biden should do that is more than what they did before?
Well, I think there's always more that can be done, and that's part of progress and that's part of democracy. And one of those challenges, of course, was working in a bipartisan manner, and that's going to continue to be a challenge now, and that's certainly what they faced in those years. I think if I could just go back to last night, we are celebrating and we're feeling a lot of relief right now. I think that a message that came from a friend, a South African friend last night, really sums it up. The world is a better place right now. It's a little bit better. And we're incredibly proud that democracy won last night. This is good for America. This is good for Americans, all Americans. It's good for South Africa. It's good for the world. And it really is, I think, a lesson that democracy requires action. I think many of us, for most of our lives, have probably taken it for granted and not realized that it's about voting, it's about running for office, but it's also about what each of us does every single day and how we contribute to the improvement, the progress within our own countries and within the world.
The question is for both of you to discuss now. Do you think America is becoming a more socialist country? I know Republicans are not big fans of the free health and free education for all, while the Democrats believe that that is something that we need to help the poor. So do you guys think that, do any of you think that it's becoming a more socialist country?
Okay, I'll take it first. I think at heart, is why Republicans tend to stay Republican, because Republicans tend to associate Democrats with the word socialism. And yeah, I mean, honestly, at heart, I do think that the Democratic Party will take the United States in a more socialist movement. Is it right or is it wrong? At the end of the day, as Liz said, the people got out and voted. That is the most important thing that happened. And you can't argue. The majority of the people overwhelmingly voted for Joe Biden. And if that's what the country wants and needs, then that's what has to happen. I might not personally like it, but it is what it is.
Don't you think Republicans are more about what affects them rather than helping everybody as well?
Very much so. I think at heart, a lot of Republicans believe that I worked hard to get to where I am, and I don't want to share what I have with other people who, for whatever reason, you don't believe they worked as hard as you did. And I think that does represent, unfortunately, a lot of Republicans.
Mm-hmm. And this attitude, Liz, what do you feel about that attitude?
I think, I mean, number one, I don't think anyone needs to worry about socialism. I think that the word has been misinterpreted and misused during this election cycle in the past 4 years. It's really just been a fear tactic, to be honest. So I would just take that off the table. I don't think anyone needs to worry. But the Democratic Party definitely does believe in caring and being representative of and representing all Americans. And one of the challenges that we have in the U.S. is incredible inequality. We have extreme issues around racial injustice. And these are issues that we need to address now as a nation as a whole. And this is one of the things that I think is the most exciting about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris moving into our leadership positions again now, is that they truly do want to represent all Americans. And Joe Biden has been saying this repeatedly. He is not going to be the president just for those who voted for him. He's going to be a president for all Americans. That is who he is. I think that's something that we can all feel very, very good and comfortable with. And I think that that's something that's going to help unite us. The uniting aspect of this is going to be a challenge. And to be honest, we've realized since the election that this is, we are more divided than we had anticipated. And it's going to be very, very difficult. But I think that we've all recognized that we have a responsibility as each and every one of us as Americans to help pull us all together and to join together and find some common ground for the whole country.
Kamala Harris comes from a legal background, and you know there's a lot of issues regarding, for instance, young black men who are in jail, wrongfully accused, they say, as well as the police brutality that has been happening in many states. Do you think, or do you hope at least, that she'll come in from that legal point of view to try and eradicate that?
I think that it's something that she also is very committed to, but the Democratic Party overall is very committed to tackling racism overall as a country, and it's structural racism. It's built into everything. It's much more than just personal prejudice, individual prejudice. It's built into the fabric of the country, unfortunately, and we need to look at it from a multidimensional focus. So I think that we will see a lot of movement. Much of this needs to actually happen on a local basis. So we need to try to encourage people in their states and local municipalities, cities, we don't call them municipalities as much in the states, and make sure that people are also voicing their opinions there, and that we can change rules, that we can change laws, and that we even just change our understanding. We call it criminal justice, but maybe we need to look at finding new ways of looking at this and really looking at what the causes are. And within some of that, you also need to look at the environment overall.
Now, I just want to tie that in with the slogan that Trump went with for the Republicans, "Make America Great Again." A lot of black Americans would say that is, it's with the notion that America was great before, but they're saying that it was great for only a few and not for everybody. So the Make America Great Again slogan did not work for most black people. What do you make when you are here in South Africa and you're hearing about all these protests that are happening and basically black people and Democrats, or some Democrats, feeling as if, you know, the Republicans want to take America back to the racial times?
I can certainly understand their viewpoint. I don't think at the end of the day that even just because you're Republican that you necessarily believe that the other person should be put down and downtrodden. I just have to believe in the goodness, you know, of Americans. I'm not sure how to answer that question. You know, actually, I looked back last night over the last 12 elections that I was eligible to vote. And it's actually interesting. 6 of them went Democrat and 6 went Republican. So at the end of the day, that is the beauty of the United States, is that we do have peaceful transfers of power, and both sides do have their opportunity, you know, to rule. You also have to remember, Liz just touched on it, that the president doesn't make law in the United States. The president most definitely sets the tone.
Let's take a short break. Maybe when we return, I would have given you a little bit of time to think about it. We're taking a short break. Don't go anywhere. When we return, there's more reaction from world leaders congratulating Joe Biden as president-elect of the United States.